Hey guys, another monumental milestone. So the chocks are in, the side chocks are done, work great. I'll show them to you here in a minute, but look, I'm standing inside my boat for the very first time. You were here to see it for the very first time. And that's her. That's the inside of her. So, what a milestone. I know you guys are probably like, whatever, but this is a huge deal, at least for me. So, what that means is now the interior work begins. Making some epoxy fillets to run along the chine and maybe the shear and along the sides of the frames and on the sides down on the hull to just ensure that we have a good solid fit and everything's just real good and connected together. And then we will move on to the framing. So, but before that, we got to do a lot more epoxy work. So there's that. One of the first orders of business is going to be getting these members, these 2x members, because they're not structural to the boat. They were just there to hold the frames to the strongback. And being that the strongback is now out in the front yard, which you can't see right now, but I think I showed you yesterday, it's no longer necessary to have these. So I'm going to yank them out so I can move freely about fore and aft the boat. Real solid on those chocks though. I mean, real good and solid. So, but that's where we're at. Pretty exciting. So, I guess more later. But until then, I will of course talk to you guys once I get more underway. All right, I will catch you guys later. Well, hey everyone, we're back, and we have what a big change from having the boat, upside down and working on it to now having it right side up and working inside it. This is, I just can't tell you how thrilled this makes me. But anyways, so I took out all the support members that held it to the strongback, as no doubt you can see, and I started going along like the chine areas and along both the port and starboard side, and started filling those in with epoxy. Any gaps or whatever between the hull and the chine, I'm filling in with epoxy, just for strength and waterproofing. So that's kind of what we're doing there. And what I plan on doing is going with epoxy around like basically the entire interior of the boat, creating fillets or thickened epoxy beads, if you will, kind of like caulk beads. And I'm going to run them down the entire, like all the frames, along the chine, along the frames on the inside of the boat where they meet the hull, just for extra strength and stability. I just want her to be real tough. She is now. During the flip, we didn't have any problems because she is a tough old girl. But I plan on doing that. That's kind of going to be next. And then, of course, filling the in between the sheets of plywood, any areas that need to be filled that have a pretty big gap, I'm going to fill those with epoxy. Obviously, the biggest or the most of that filling will take place up at the bow, along, on those hull pieces, because I used a lot of thin strips of plywood to bend it to the frame, or I'm sorry, to bend it to the shape of the hull. So that's going to require a lot more epoxy just to kind of fill those in and link them together and sturdy them up from the inside. They're very strong on the outside. I just want to, if anything, I'm just I would be at this point, I don't know, paranoid, if you will. But that's, my prerogative, I guess. So anyway, that's where we're at right now when it comes to the interior work. And that's what's next. But right now, what I've got going on is I'm going to take this board that I had laying around, this pressure-treated piece of 2x4, right here. I'm going to get my level, and I'm going to go ahead and take it up and down both sides of the shear. So the in this case, like the starboard shear and the port shear, and I'm going to move the board, forward and back, and make sure that I'm level and that I don't have any high spots. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plane and I'm going to plane the shears flush. I got them pretty darn close while it was flipped over, but I knew I would have to do a little bit more on the inside when I was done. So that's what I'm going to do. At least that's the plan for now. So that's where we stand. Once again, pretty exciting to be on the inside of my boat. This is just huge for me. And of course, signaling the second stage of construction. In this case, it's going to be the cabin, the deck, basically the rest of the project. The first part of the project is done. Now we've moved on to the second part of the project. So, big doings, big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I will catch you guys up once I have completed that part, at least working on the along the shear. So until next time, guys. Well, ahoy! I took about a day off because I had my in-laws come down, and my buddy and his wife came over for supper the other night. So I haven't been as on the boat as I'd like to have been. However, I was able today to finish up the leveling process, where I would take that board with the level, and I would actually go along the shear on both sides using that board and level to determine how level both sides of the boat are in relation to one another. So I did that. It turned out pretty good, believe it or not, but the area that was, in my opinion, the hardest to deal with that was actually right up here at the bow. I don't know if it's because of the of the angle that it likes to sweep up at, but I had to really knock this side down quite a bit and bevel it to where it maintained its level from port to starboard. And as you can see, the inside of the boat is just filled with curly Q shavings and sawdust and all kinds of wonderfulness that I'm gonna have to get the shop back over here for and straighten it out. No problem, no big deal. Just part of it, because the inside of this boat during this phase of construction is just going to get dirty, and I'm not going to have the luxury anymore of having all the wood shavings and sawdust and all that falling to the shop floor versus the inner hull of the boat. And that's okay. Like I said, that's not a problem. I figured it would be that way. So we'll deal with it. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, both sides are now good and leveled. I'm kind of waiting on epoxy so I can finish epoxying the seams that I was telling you about, and hopefully we'll get there. And there's my 7-year-old with a beer for me. Thank you, honey. So that's kind of on the docket. But hopefully we can get some epoxy in. We had some real bad weather, and we're having to deal with the after effects of that, so money right now is a bit tight. But the next bit of cash flow I get coming in, I will assuredly work on the boat. So until then, that's kind of where we stand, and I will catch you guys up when there's more to talk about.